Odin, event centre, painting of the roof and other remedial works to our beautiful AC Bars complex and event centre. Mr. Bowden, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Maverick. The report is as read. In a nutshell, the proposal is to bring the roofing of the event centre to a similar standard as we are currently doing for the external structural steelwork, to bring it so that the whole building looks like new, really, from the outside. We're proposing to use funds that have already been approved by Council as a contingency item, as a contingency for the structural steelwork painting. And we have gone out for prices for two reputable contractors, one being the existing TBS Farnsworth and Holmac as well, who know us well and we know them. And Holmac have come in as the better tender, and we've allowed for a small contingency in case we need it for any unforeseen work. The building was built, as you probably all know, in 1998, so it's approximately 50 years old. The warranty that was on the roof sheeting has now expired. We've had a roofer on the roof to look at the translucent sheeting there, and that's brittle, and over the next few years is likely to break down even further than it has now. So it's time for an upgrade, and that's what I'm proposing.
So, are you going to paint over the translucent sheets? Is that what you're saying?
No, we're going to replace them.
You're going to replace them?
No,
okay.
Yes.
Probably not what we organised originally. I know we made the subcommittee of Councillor Creighton, Williams and Hackling for the AC Bars complex. Have they been involved in this process as well?
No. But
I think at one of our side meetings, Your Worship, if I might just talk to that, we did comment to Andrew that whilst we was getting the steel frameworks done, the rest of the building should be painted, and I think that was sort of the outcome of this today. Because, I mean, why do one and not the other? It
is what it is, so yeah. If it's budgeted, comes it out.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate Andrew and the contractors coming under, and this, we can do this, we're still within the budget allocated, so well done, and I'd like to move it.
Oh, and Councillor, just before you do you have your hand up before Councillor Williams? No.
No, I was nodding my head.
Okay.
Back to the words of Councillor.
I have a question just on occupational health and safety issues. When these tenders are received, is there any auditing or anything like that done on these things, having regard to the new standards and the changes that are occurring in the building industry? For example, do they have to fully scaffold around the roofing area to undergo a painting project like this?
Parts of it will be, Councillor, but most of the work on the roof will not, and we are familiar with the new Department of Labour working at heights requirements. We've been, council staff have been in small workshops with the representatives of the Ministry of Building to discuss those. They're very hot on those, and all the projects that we start, we demand that the contractors advise the Department of Labour of when the work starts and when it's going to finish, so they can attend site to inspect and check on whether safe working practice is being carried out.
Oh, that's good, because this could otherwise turn into your $31,000 unforeseen work allowance being eaten up if you didn't look at that issue.
No, we do. We are cognizant of...
Surely our contractors must meet the OSH regulations and standards. That's the end of the story.
Yes, and they are, the contractors we use are approved contractors.
Yeah, no, but I think I've just said it all.
Sites.
I think that's the end of the story. Put a full stop in there. That yep. OSH contractors, they're regulated. That's the regulations. That is what it is.
Yes.
Your Worship, if any one of us has been by the AC Baths and seen the work to do with the columns that were painted, they were all scaffolded, they were strapped and wrapped, and
Yeah. Okay, enough please. Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, just to add to what Councillor Downer was saying, I think it's just, sorry, I can turn that on. Just to add to what Councillor Downer was saying, I think it's worth noting that this project's been managed very well and has come in, on time and budget, and that's both a credit to the councils who have been monitoring the project and the people who have been working on it. It's, as we know, rare for councils to deliver something in the budget, especially these costs more. So it's well done.
That's one now.
I'll second the resolution.
Up is on your switches. I know it says on both ways, but up is on. Councillor Williams?
Yes, Mr. Bowden just he did stand out with you and some other councillors and look, and the roofing is very shabby. As you pointed out here, the translucent fiberglass is breaking down and brittle. But I think it should be noted by councillors that because there hasn't been a regular maintenance program on this roof, that moss and mould has built up and undermined the surface. So I understand from Mr. Bowden that this will, from henceforth, there will be a rigorous maintenance program to ensure that this building stays in pristine condition for as long as possible.
There has been some maintenance on the roof. The roof has been washed probably about 5 years ago, but the lichen builds up over time, especially in the environment that we're in within Taupo. We found some lichen on the roof of the AC baths. So there has been some maintenance, but once we have the warranties and guarantees in place for the translucent sheeting and for the painting, there will be a regime of maintenance that's required to make sure that we don't have to paint it every year, to be honest with you. So details of that will be issued by the contractor, and we'll need to stick to those to maintain those warranties.
Okay, well make sure just after it's painted have it entered in our maintenance matrix. It's simple as that. As simple as mowing the lawns on reserves, we have a matrix, we go and do it. So that's cool. Anything further? There being nothing, I won't read the whole resolution out. You've obviously all read it on page 7/4. I will ask for a mover, please. Move, Councillor Williams, second, sorry?
Mike's already moved and Gary's
Oh, did you? Oh, okay, you moved, and Councillor Williams can second. Okay, keep a second. They want to get this thing painted pretty quick, don't they? All those in favour? Aye. Move, thank you.
Thank you.
This item here, I'm sure, is very, very dear to Councillor Craig's heart, and I'm sure that if he was here with us today, he'd be jumping up in his seat wanting to go, I want to move it, I want to move it. Widening Whai Hippie Road. You've been given a map here. We only have a certain amount of money, and these particular areas that the little handout is showing you is what is proposed in the widening process. Love to widen the whole street, as we've said, for reasons you obviously know why. So really, it's have we got anybody to talk to it, or I think we're just going to. Oh, sorry, Mr. Lieutenant, see your hand there, sir.
We'll take it as read. It's not going to solve all the cycling issues in Whai Hippie Road, but it's also addressing drainage improvements, pavement repairs, guard railing, and some other small bits of work. So it's not solely about widening it for cycling purposes.
So even though it's $89 more, $89,000 more, that's in another budget, is it?
Yes.
Or the culverts and things. Cool. So, Councillor?
Yeah, I'm aware that Councillor Craig is doing a sterling job of trying to change driver attitude towards cyclists, and number two, the widening of the roads. But I think he's been in the press recently advocating for a higher status with NZTA with regards to this road here, that it's actually linking two state highways, and my question is that can we as a council help him in his drive to achieve this? I mean, I know this is we're going to do this here, which is a small step, but is there anything we as council can do to advocate?
Well, I think
for...
Mr. Williams wants to speak, but I know the process has already started. It is a process, bureaucratic process, but that process, I believe, has started. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, well, I've got a member of staff, Karen Balasoglu, who's helping Councillor Craig put together a document to look at the ins and outs of advocating for a state highway. One of the cautions I would throw into the room at the moment is be careful what you wish for, because sometimes with state highways like that, if they become a state highway, they actually rank lower on the state highway network and therefore attract less funding. So it might actually be a perverse outcome that we don't want as a community. But that's what I've got Karen working with Dennis and Claire and the team with, to put a comprehensive document together for your information, so that we can actually develop a strategy on what would be good, what would be the best outcome for Poihapi Road for our community.
But having said that, Mr. William, don't state highways where accidents are recorded and that move up very high up on the list. Accident areas normally go to the top of the list.
That's the theory, but when you throw them in with all New Zealand state highway network, it can actually have an outcome that you weren't expecting. So that's why I'm urging caution in terms of that final outcome, but we're putting together a comprehensive report to advise you as to what the best course of action for the community would be.
Well, I think all of us in the room here are pretty pleased to be accepting this tender to, as we often talk about, eating an elephant, to at least start somewhere. So let's get this part started. So do I ask for a move and a second before?
Not yet.
I have a move it, please. Move Councillor Johnson, seconded Councillor Henderson. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Agenda item number 9.